we have this longer history of the structure of an NFT, which is a certificate of authenticity or a container or a representation like a lock on a locker that functions to make an artwork that is not intended or produced for a marketplace to function in a marketplace. But the other piece of this, and I think it really goes back to the Beeple sale, is the labor aspect. When we start to look at NFTs from the artist's point of view, and we start to look at labor and how labor is conceptualized and represented in markets, it's very messy. A coda here is that a colleague of mine at NYU, Kevin McCoy, is the person who made the first NFT. He made it in 2014, so he placed it on the Namecoin blockchain. Ethereum did not yet exist. Kevin made that work as part of a collaboration with the technologist Anil Dash, and they made the work at the invitation of Rhizome, which is a kind of internet archive nonprofit that is connected to the New Museum of Contemporary Art in New York. They had 24 hours to make something, and it took Kevin about 15 minutes to make this NFT, and he did it in order to show his partner Anil Dash how it worked. So there are a lot of kind of cliches, if you will, that represent this idea. Picasso once famously said, "This drawing took me 5 minutes in a lifetime." So there's the act of labor execution, and then there's the investment behind it that makes it possible. And I have to imagine that figuring this out economically and finance-wise is a little bit similar to understanding pharmaceutical R&D accounting. And if anyone is expert in that, I would really welcome hearing more about it. So just to conclude, the key takeaways here would be this kind of idea of watching the normalization of royalties and equity in art happening on NFT platforms, and how this is possible because of more complete contracting, which as an aspect of the provenance and public registry on the blockchain. Yeah, there are a number of reasons I think blockchain is so important here. One is that if you reconceptualize equity or resale royalties as property rights, they need a secondary marketplace in which to trade. And that has to be a low enough transaction cost environment for the Coase theorem logic to hold. And blockchain is exactly structured to do that. The art market has a history of opacity and privacy around contracts issued by the more powerful party. And if there's public registry of those shares, it's possible to enforce payment of royalties and equity because the title transfer is connected to them by a smart contract, and also to kind of create more kind of visibility on that information. And just the sheer automation. Right now, if you want to request copyright for a book, sometimes that's transacted by fax or by 8 to 10 emails. And so the efficiency gain here is really not to be minimized.